Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. It's your fabulous host, Shanasia Washington, streaming from none other than H-Town, Houston, Texas, baby, where it goes down. And we are back in effect at the HBCU Her Voice podcast. And look, y'all, if y'all haven't seen y'all schools represented, guess what? That's on y'all, because there has been two schools that have been dominating the space all session long. So don't fight me. Don't fight the messenger. Get up and show up and come on a podcast and represent your school. But let me tell you something. This woman today has already exhibited great patience with your girl. And I'm just so happy that she's here. And I've already been all over through her business. I say this all the time to the people. I'm like, look, y'all know I for real been looked at y'all stuff. So I got some real life questions that I want you to explore. So let's bring her to the stage and do our normal drill. Tell us her name, where she's streaming from, which HBCU she's repping, and we'll get her HBCU story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Sessions. I am streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a proud alum of Tuskegee University. TU, you know. My HBCU story, let's see. Tuskegee was the only school I applied to. I did not apply to any other university at all. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama, and I just think it was alignment that I ended up at Tuskegee. Got to Tuskegee and found out that I had some family ties there. So the dean of students grew up with my mother. She was in banking, so one of her customers was also a professor at Tuskegee University, and then family friends and high school graduates that were in my class as well. We all ended up at Tuskegee together. And when I tell you my experience at Tuskegee was, words cannot express my Tuskegee experience. When I tell everybody from the time that I got there to the time till now, the people that I met the very first day I walked on campus, I am still friends with them to this day. My orientation leader literally just went to his art gallery in Atlanta, spent some time with him at his event. So when I tell you the ties that bind us at Tuskegee are strong, it is really, we're really a family. And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world.
Come on now, Tuskegee showing up and showing on out. And that girl say, look, I didn't even apply nowhere else.
I didn't nowhere else.
She said Tuskegee was it. I didn't even have a backup plan. So look, girl, if Tuskegee would have said no, what was Ashley Sessions gonna even do? Because she hadn't even applied nowhere else.
I don't know. I really don't know what I would have done. I would have figured it out. I probably would end up going to school in Mobile, which is,
Yeah, that's not it. It wasn't gonna be hidden right.
Not gonna be right at all.
But in that first segment, like that feeling that she said, I just can't even put it was just so good. I couldn't even put it in words. Y'all, that's really why the front end of that podcast exists, because our schools are not, I mean, they're celebrated, but not nearly as much as they need to. And I stand by that, because I can't even put it in words. And I was saying that my niece, well, she's in nursing school now, but when she started the undergraduate at Prairie View University, and we were going to the campus for orientation, I remember I was like, you really just cannot put this in words, this type of experience. And even though that wasn't my campus, I went to Houston, Tillerson, and Austin, Texas. Just being back at that time on the HBCU campus, I was like, man, like this is like some nostalgia going on. Like, oh my goodness,
it does something to you.
Girl, they need to bottle that up and sell it, because if you can feel this like euphoria, it's something really about it. So much so, girl, here I am on a podcast still talking about it some years and years later.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to make sure we share that. And I'm so happy to see Tuskegee University represented here, because let me tell you, it's been 2 other schools. We ain't gonna call them out because they ain't gonna get no glory today. We on Tuskegee today.
Yes.
But we've been having a real heavy presence of 2 particular schools, and I'm just happy to see a breakthrough of another school representative here, and it is Ashley Sessions. But one of the things that we also make sure that we're intentional doing on this podcast, because beyond our schools, we are these women, Black women, navigating the world, and y'all, things be happening. And it's really situations and issues that we need to bring together and have collective community conversations about. Mm-hmm. And I want to just jump right into this, because Ashley Sessions, she said, I was terminated from my corporate place of business. Okay. And I want y'all to be very clear. You guys know how my corporate exit was in 2021 was not pretty. The times that we're in currently, our women that look like you and me are under attack for jobs. They are being laid off. And then once they are being laid off, they cannot find work, despite being the most educated group in the entire United States. So y'all know I call it what it is. And that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. But what I did like about this, because it was hard for me to actually, I would say it, but it was hard for me to actually embody this, because you said it was clarifying, versus devastating. There's 2 different ends of the spectrum when you talk about adjectives about how something feels. Right. Now, I can say that now in 2026, but in 2021, when the heat was going on, I was like, "Nuck if you buck," okay? Because oh no. Let's be clear, baby, because this way, no run-of-the-mill type employee. We don't have the opportunity to be that. We don't have the opportunity to make a lot of mistakes and to be late and all the other stuff that people were doing. So that in itself, don't play with that, because I know how I showed up. I know how I came. Mm-hmm. I know who I am. So it was surreal, like, look, if you buck, boom. I heard the music, girl, like this. I should.
I get it. I totally get it. I'm just saying,
I gotta tell the truth. I get it. I want to tell me about that redirection and what helped you really see that in that moment, because sometimes, people, if they sometimes can't get past and look at you, but they got to be all in there. They just mad forever and can't go beyond that. But you said something turned and it became clarifying. So talk about that.
So one of the things, let me back up. So when I took this position at this company, I had made an agreement. Me and the good Lord made an agreement that I would only be in that role for 6 months. I would be in that role for 6 months. I would get my Scrum certification, and then I would be on to the next thing. Well, 6 months came and went, and I got complacent. And 3 days before my 1-year anniversary, I got terminated. And I saw the writing on the wall, because it was one of those silent firings, like, we're going to silo you out. We're going to take work away from you. We're not going to include you into the thing. So I could see the writing on the wall, but I had gotten complacent. And so my manager was supposed to be working with me, trying to find somewhere else for me to go. And this is how I knew it was nothing but God, because literally they terminated me before they could find somewhere else for me to go. And I knew it was, okay, you overstayed your welcome. And since you're not going to move, I'm going to move you, so you can go do the stuff that I told you were supposed to do. So that is why it was clarity for me, and why I wasn't, I wasn't butthurt or any of the things behind it, because I knew I was supposed to be doing something else anyway. And so the Lord said, since you ain't moving, I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna move you myself. And so that's how we ended up having a moment of clarity and being okay with how things transpired.
That's so good, because sometimes that redirection makes all the difference. It doesn't feel good in it, and that's what we have to always remember. But one of the things I like about your story, because there's, of course, parallels to mine. You said that you knew a year before you even got laid off. Your daddy was telling you, baby,
you was being hard-headed.
Oh, I didn't even have to whoop her, y'all. She whooped herself.
I know. Listen, I was hard-headed. I know. I was.
Because you had already said that, but for mine, it was like a little bit different. And I shared this, I think, late last week. Like mine was more like you knew that the writing's on the wall, like something to happen, this going to happen real big. Like everything around here is shifting. Like your umbrella of grace is kind of moving. It's under new management. It's under all these different things. Like it was actually writings on the wall. And I remember, and this is, I didn't have, like a blueprint to entrepreneurship. I never knew even what to sell or if I could sell, like, what does it even mean? It was just something over me. I would walk into the building. Mind you, I'd never started no business, no LLC, no nothing. And we used to have to walk this long walk from where we parked our car because it was like in the metroplex of Houston. So we parked our car fairly far. And I had a nice walk all the way to get to my seat. And I would find myself, I'm like, Lord, one day you're going to give me something that's really mine. And I didn't even know what I was saying at that time, Ashley. I really didn't. I was like, it just... And I wasn't even calling it
21 life and death.
I wasn't calling it entrepreneurship. I wasn't really calling the branding. I wasn't really calling the business. I didn't even know to really call it that, to be quite frank with you, because that was not. And I was just telling the Lord, you're gonna make it plain, and you're gonna give me something that's really, really mine. You're gonna give me something I can really, really show up in. So it was seeds that He was planting, and I probably could have maybe reconciled it sooner if I knew, but maybe that's just a part of the whole divine journey and even how it had to come out the way it did. But how did you shift from like having fear and kind of mixing that in with intuition to say, I'm going to go ahead and start this thing, because you had already kind of been telling me like a year ago that this would have been the way I've been going, but how do you get past that next step? Because some of them have the deposits, but they don't move and act to do the next thing.
So I think it was easy, but it wasn't easy. And what I mean by that is the easy lift was I was already making cakes on the side. So I already had a side hustle. So that was the easy part, because I kind of knew what I needed to do based off of having that side hustle, right? And so I was doing cakes on the side, custom cakes on the side. So when I got to the point of losing this job, I had a friend of mine who hit me up, and he was like, hey, I got some work that needs to be done. Is it something that you can do? It's like administrative work. And I was like, sure. I'm not working right now. I need the income. Let's do it. And then had a conversation with my dad after I had been applying for jobs. So again, this was in 2023. So long before, what the market looks like now. But even then, it was hard trying to find another corporate gig. And so talking to my dad, and we were having a conversation. He says, well, why don't you start your own? Like what you did for corporate, you could do for small businesses. I've been in training. I've been in implementation roles. I've done strategic planning. I've done a few different things. And so having that conversation with my dad, it kind of made me realize like, okay, there are small businesses or medium-sized businesses who could utilize my services. Why not? And then a friend from the gym had just started a virtual assistant business, and she needed some help. And so I decided to contract with her while I was working on getting my things off the ground. So I was still moving and working even before I got things set up the way that they needed to be. Now, with that, what I will say is that may not be everybody's story. That was my story because that was the path that God took me on, but that may not be everybody else's story. And what I will say is if you have the resources and the funds and a way to secure those, then do that. But I think for me in this journey, my faith and my trust was being tested. And so I had to start my business in the manner in which I did.
Absolutely. And it's so important to share that because everyone's journey looks different. Yes. So when you have that variety of perspectives, it allows you to hear from other people, but also trust in your own journey. It won't look the same as it looked for me, as it looked for Ashley. And I think that's a part of us that sometimes mucks up our own journey. From that self-comparison game, when you look at someone else's journey, take some nuggets of it and help it and maybe apply to your situation, but don't use it as an end-all be-all because it didn't go the way in which it went for Ashley Sessions as it went for Sinead Washington and to whoever else is watching. So please don't do that. One of the things that I want to go into, because I'm always just like, oh my gosh, I'd be happy for this podcast. I'll be really proud of my tribal folk because I'm like, man, the amount of parallels that really exist, the amount of things that we experience that are so similar, and we don't have the places that are safe to talk about it.
Right.
Many of us don't. And that's the reality of it, because she said that, look, while I was launching the business, I became a primary caregiver. We don't talk about it. Because when
We
my
don't.
grandfather had the stroke in January 2024, that changed everything about our family dynamic.
It
You
does.
understand me? Now he's still home, and my grandmother, I mean, she's elderly too, and she's there with him, throughout the day. But doctor's appointments and all the things, the bills, the grocery shopping, everything else that has to come, every single phone call,
Mhm.
every single thing. That's me. That's me. Still with the child, still with running this, still with other extensions of my brand, still with trying to hold some space and capacity just for mental peace and
Yes,
mental release, right?
because
Just
that's
for
important.
because if you don't have that, how you gonna keep the ship running?
That part.
That's
That
all.
part right there.
Tell me about how caregiving shaped the way you rebuild or how you build. Because I had a major shift in it, Ashley Sessions. It's
Mhm.
changed me from a place that I can never go back to who I was before that happened to him.
Yeah, so it definitely shifted things for me. So in same year 2023, that October, my mother and father were at the Magic City Classic in Birmingham, and mom had gone shopping and blacked out and fell. We don't know why, we don't know what happened, and she hit her head in the store so hard that she ended up with a brain bleed. And so I literally had to pack a bag and go to Birmingham, and was in Birmingham for about 2 weeks until we figured out, what was what. There was emergency surgery. And I literally had to, I'm working remotely, with a client who was thankfully very understanding about what I had going on. But I literally had to shift my mindset. And so one of the things that I had already kind of started back in, what was that, 2017, I had already started like a workout journey, right? And even over the course of time, 2019, I became a licensed life coach. And so one of the things that I learned from being a life coach was I can't pour from an empty cup. I've got to make sure that I have some self-care in place, right? And so having that self-care in place for myself, pouring into myself first, then I was able to pour into my mom, my dad, and my extended family, and making sure that they had what they needed, making sure that I'm there alert, paying attention to what the doctors are saying, still being the caretaker to my dad, making sure he's taking his medicine, doing what he needs to do, and all the things. And so I want to say, like, you hear this all the time, that everything happens for a reason. And I'm a firm believer that the things that you go through in life prepare you for the things later on, even when you don't realize it. And so all the things that I had gone through previously had prepared me to become the caretaker for my parents, to be able to, maintain, withstand. Again, that self-care journey helped me be able to pour into myself first so that I could have something for everybody else and be able to support them in the manner that they need. So there were a couple of pieces that came into play with helping me stay along that journey. So that fitness journey helped me stay disciplined, which helped me put processes and things in place so that I could be efficient and effective with working as well as being a caretaker for my parents.
Absolutely. And I know that my faith, I mean, it has just gone to a different level. Honestly, seriously, like post that, because there was a whole extra level of responsibility that even though they were elderly, I mean, fortunately, I mean, he was 79 when this happened. So, he was, it wasn't stripped away from him even younger than that. Not saying that it's okay that it happened or whatever, but I'm just saying, if this had happened in the season sooner, I don't know if I would have been mentally prepared
To handle it.
So I say that with that grain of thought in mind, that in the season that he placed that to happen, he knew that I was ready, even though hard, to be able to kind of sustain that part of the race. But I mean, it has taught me so much even about life and intentionality, because when you look at someone at that stage in life, there's so many things that they tell you, they're so happy that they did, but there are a lot of things they tell you that they're happy they didn't get to do. So because of that, and me being in a building stage in my life, I get up and I knock it out every day, Ashley Sessions. If I wake up in the morning and there are things that on that list, thou shall be done, unless there's something catastrophic that's beyond my control that does not allow those things to happen. So even down to recording these and coming back in. So of course, I gotta always do what I do in the show, and that's offer Ashley Session roses, because you are here.
Thank you.
You're doing the thing. You're taking care of the people that you love. And sometimes you got to breathe in that because, like Drake say, they ain't got no trophies for this. Ain't no awards for this.
No awards, no trophies, none of the things. And I heard somebody say this a while ago, and I feel like you'll definitely resonate with this. If you being an entrepreneur, definitely test your faith. And when I tell you, I don't feel like my faith was tested before now until I became an entrepreneur, baby. This said faith walk look real different now than it did before.
Look, Ashley, you know I'm crazy, so I look back, girl. I look back at my old prayer life. I said, look at them old baby prayers, them old premature.
Listen.
I say, girl, them was some old baby-fied, unrooted.
It teaches you, it tests your faith, and it teaches you a different level of gratitude.
Oh, come on and talk about it. Because it's things in this breath of prayer, girl, that I would have never even thought to be praying for. It would have never been in my context to pray for. Even 2 years sooner. As early as 2 years sooner. It wouldn't have been in my breath to even pray for it, girl. So while I was like, man, like this honestly feels like barren land. And I be telling them that sometimes. And I say that because I'm like, I'm not saying that because I don't believe that you can do different things and do different mighty things or whatever. I'm just talking about based on what I've already been through and where I am now. Woo, I ain't expect you to be
right.
I didn't expect you to take me through it the way that you are taking me through it. Right. That's all I'm saying. I still trust you. You know I'm your little crazy child, so this is how I think. But
it could have been a text message and not a whole test. You could have texted me and I would have been like, I got it. We ain't got to go through all of that.
That's all I'm saying, Lord. I still love you though, okay? And I still trust you real big. But that's all I'm saying. That your girl didn't really expect to be in this part of the river. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I gotta tell you though, when I seen that, I say she don't know I love her already because I know what she going through. I know what she dealing with. And it's some days where, you know, ain't nobody clapping, don't nobody see the tears, don't nobody see nothing. Don't nobody see it. Because girl, I had to sit in there. It ain't nobody but me and him. And I say, Lord, all I got today is a few tears. I say, you know, I'm grateful. You know, I'm real grateful for everybody and everybody that's still here. You know, I'm really, really grateful. But oh Lord, I'm a little tired. If you could just breathe.
They look at you because you're handling it, and it's like, oh, you strong, you got it. No, I might be strong and I might have it, but that doesn't mean I don't need any help. It doesn't mean that you can't call me and check on me and be like, let me take this off of your plate. It doesn't mean help me, please. I'm okay with accepting some help. It's check on me. I'll tell you, here's what you can take off my plate. I appreciate it.
What Kevin Hart say, help me.
Yes.
Help me.
Yes.
You know, you can definitely take some and because we sometimes wear that face of that strong woman, that strong pillar, a lot of people don't see it.
They don't.
So kudos to that. And I want you to know that what you're doing is worthy, and he sees you. He sees you in ways that people not ordinarily, they don't have to deal with these types of things don't. And I want you to know that that's worthy work. And I tell my grandfather all the time, I say, this is the most noble work I do. I say, other than caring for that boy, that crazy boy, that 8-year-old and now these new kids get on my nerves. I love them all, but they get on my nerves, these new breeds, okay? So love y'all though. I say, other than take care of that boy now, I say, this is the most noble work I ever do. So don't you, wherever God has placed us in this thing, he sees both of us.
Mm-hmm.
He sees both of us. Proud of you for your journey, man. Proud of you for what it is. And I mean that. I can't do nothing but pour how I see it.
I appreciate it.
I want to go into session enterprises because I love this, because one of the things you said is that you focus on clarity before execution. Girl, that seems simple, but it ain't really simple for a lot of folks because they don't know what they stuff are going out everywhere. Here they is tinkering with tasks, don't have no level of clarity as to why this task even exists or why you even doing it that way. why do you think so many people kind of skip that clarity phase when it's so important on how the entire ship is built?
For some people, I don't know if it's a matter of them skipping it intentionally. It could be because they just don't know, right? A lot of times entrepreneurs don't always have the tools and the mindset or the plan laid out for them as to what steps they need to take to get to where they need to get, right? And so I think one of the things that is beneficial, or one of the things that I have that is beneficial, is because I have worked in corporate and I've helped stand up systems from the ground up. So I know the ins and outs and the certain questions to ask, right? And so one of the first things I do when I sit down and meet with a potential client is tell me what it is you do well. What do you think you do well? All right, so now we talked about what you do well. Let's talk about what you think you don't do well. And then we can figure out where the pain points and where the areas are that clarity is needed. And sometimes it's just as simple as, walking through some things with them and saying, okay, here are the two pieces that need to be connected. Sometimes it could be a system issue where we are looking at, you've got, Wix, you've got Calendly, you've got, this booking tool, that booking tool, when you're doing yourself a disservice. And it's because you saw all of these things online. Oh, this person says you need this person says you need this. And now you got 50 tools and you've collected all these tools like you're Thanos from the Marvel universe, when you only need one tool that could do all the things for you, right? And so sometimes I think it's just a matter of not knowing. And so I come in, I ask the questions, I get you to thinking, okay, what do you want things to really look like? What is the ideal flow for your business? And then I come in and say, okay, if this is the ideal flow that you want for your business, these are the pieces that we need to put in place to implement to get you there, whether it's automations, whether it's, putting processes and procedures in place for your employees. If you're, operating without those things in place to begin with, you're already doing yourself a disservice. And so you want to make sure that you've got those policies and procedures in place for, responding to emails. How long do you have to answer a task or complete a task? If you've got employees, or even if it's for yourself, how much time should I put into this? A lot of times, we have an idea, but we don't know how to really implement the idea. And so I come in and I'm going to help you get granular with it. Like week one, we've got a 4-week plan, 30-day plan. Let's break it down into weeks, and then break it down into days. And then these are the tasks that I need to handle by day to get to the ultimate goal of the task that I want to get to. So sometimes it's just a matter of taking a step back and looking at the overall picture of where you want to go. And then I can kind of help you figure out how to get there.
I love that. And sometimes we have to be willing enough to step outside of the process, because when you're in the process, you're in it. And you can't see from their perspective of what really needs to change because you're so close to it. Right. And really, even from, even my journey in corporate, and I know this came up in your intake form, you talked about like root cause and like root cause analysis. And one of the things that we would have to do when things broke really bad was to do a root cause analysis. It wasn't, the little outward things like why did this actually happen? Was it a training issue? Right. Was it just incomplete instructions? And I was fortunate enough to have that lens of context prior to stepping into this thing, because it helped me to really think about like, okay, when something goes wrong or there's a missed email, was this just busyness that we just, have right. But it is important to think about really in your business. And a lot of people that, don't have that background of corporate or different things, they just jump into it. And this is not fault or good or bad or in between, but that level of that structure and that stability that comes from clear processes, sometimes it lacks. So I wanted to make sure you walk through that so people could understand how important it is to have systems in place and also clarity behind those systems, so you're not out there. She said Thanos. I said, look at her, and then made a analogy and called the folks Thanos with 50 different, you said it, girl, with 50 different apps out here. Because when I first came into business, it was like a little bit different. Whereas in the corporate structure, they already tell you what system you're going to use. Right. You go get your login into this, you get your login into that. But then when you kind of come out here to business, you're like, oh, well, they said that was going to be a good email system. Okay, well, they said that was going to be a good, AI platform, and you start to get into that. I'm just saying it from personal experience. But then you're like, okay, well, why I got that app? Okay, they say you can edit a video with it. it gets to be information overload because you want to do all the things, you want to do all the process, you want to stay in front of your business, but it is so important if you have somebody who is specialized in structure and clarity to help you along the way, because it will get overwhelming. We already talked about the ties of life and how the ties of life that we can't control have a little bit of control on this side, because you still have to navigate outside of this mess of business into the real world and situations that we talked about. So I want to thank you for saying that, because I be getting the urge. I see somebody online, one of these content creators or somebody, and girl, they'll post a little, don't look at this. And I say, don't you go download another thing. Don't you download another thing.
Do not. Because you probably already have a system there that can do all the things. Like I had to explain to one of my clients who had Wix, they had Calendly, and I'm like, you're doing yourself a disservice. I said, Wix can handle your booking. I said, and Wix has automation. So once that customer books, you can set up an email that will automatically send to them to say, hey, I got your booking. Thank you for booking. Here's the things that you need to have to be prepared for our meeting. It then sends out another email the day before their meeting, and they get a text message an hour before their meeting. Like, it's already there. So why are we not using it? Versus using Calendly to book, and now you got to go and create an email to send to remind somebody, and then create. And we got to work smart, not hard.
And look, some of y'all need to be freed from that segment alone, because it's some of y'all that's doing that right now, and I know that you are. And some of you need to be freed from actually doing that, because you don't know and another thing about these systems is that they add new features all the time.
Absolutely.
So just as if they're putting out like new apps and stuff, some of these features, I mean, some of the people that create the general platform, they're not naive. They're like, well, okay, why would I want them to go buy something else when I can put a little snippet in here and just keep them in here on my plan, just like the very platform that we're using right now to stream this podcast. Every time you look around, they want to charge an extra $2-3 because they've added
a new feature.
Because they've added a new feature. And if you know that you're, not privy to kind of keeping up with those system updates, and then, doing some really high level look at systems and how they play, you really need to get you some help. I'm just saying, as a person who, likes a little processor too, likes to make things a little bit more streamlined. And guess what that does for your customers? Ain't nothing like a scattered service provider.
Yeah, no, because that makes them frustrated. It makes you frustrated. We don't want that.
And we don't want that. So Session Enterprises really bridges a fine gap really into that process place. And I wanted to make sure that you walked us out in doing that. Girl, thank you for doing it, because I know 3-4 people that need to. We're going to do that today. Okay.
I mean, I'm here to help the people. You're
just here to help the people. Don't mind this host over here. Just pay attention to Session Enterprise and what she has to offer. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit. The balance of discipline and grace. It's for me. Let me make this personal. It's for me is a very tricky thing, because for one, my grandparents did raise me, my paternal grandparents. My grandfather's a 1944 military man, which means that my house grew up with structure. That meant that, okay, if you on time, that means you're late. Okay, that's why I told you today when I first came in, I had to come with a disclaimer. I say being late is not okay. I just started telling Miss Sessions off.
I was like, wait, no, it's okay.
And see, I tell the truth, and I don't care if I'm telling on myself, because she can attest to that. I was like, oh no. And girl, as the minute I'm just thinking about, oh no, I'm having to tell myself in the last session, I say, Sinead, just stay focused now. I'm trying to get over here to talk to Miss Sessions, and girl, I wasn't okay with it. I really was fine. And she was over here, girl, I was catching up. And I'm like, well, that may be good for you, but for me, it didn't hit. Like, and it still don't hit. So I have some time. I've done better in other places, but discipline and grace is a tough thing for Sinead Washington to balance the two, because I value people's time, I value their energy and their opinion. So sometimes that discipline side just shows up. It won't die. It won't die like I wanted to, or it's take a back seat sometimes. How do you balance like discipline and grace? And I got to get done, but life still has to happen. Sometimes things come up. What does that look like? And how would you help somebody like this crazy girl figure out that there is a soft spot there?
So now we're pulling on life coach Ashley. As far as the grace piece is concerned. So that's something that I had to learn over the past couple of years, is that I would never give myself grace. And so I had to do a lot of unlearning with that, because, if you think about our generation and how we were taught you got to keep moving. You got to, show up, do your best all the time. No slacking, almost as if like you got to be strong all the time, right? And that whole narrative, I think our generation is starting to unlearn, because you can't do all the things all the time. You've got to give your body and yourself a chance to rest, and it is okay to rest. It is okay to sleep in. It is okay to take a day off. It is okay to do those things, even though we were not taught that. It is okay, because, again, it goes back to not being able to pour from an empty cup. So if I have burned myself out, I'm not going to be successful. And so here's an example that I'll give. So whenever I'm working on cakes, I get in a zone, and I won't stop and I won't sit down. But I have started to notice and pay attention that anytime I get the dropsies, I start dropping a whole bunch of things. That is my clear indication. Stop what you're doing and go sit down and take a break. Go give yourself some grace, because if you keep going, you're going to mess up something. And if you mess it up, you're going to create a bigger issue that you've now got to go back and fix. So just take a step back, give yourself an opportunity to breathe. If it's 5 minutes away from the computer, or if it's 15 minutes, or if it's 30 minutes, whatever it looks like for you, you've got to give yourself that time to take a step back, breathe, reconnect, and then go back at it again, because you trying to continue to push when you are drained, and not giving yourself that grace is where you're going to end up making more mistakes and now creating bigger issues. And then you're going to be more frustrated, because now you got to go in and rework some stuff where you didn't have to. So taking a step back is okay. Getting rest is okay. And that is something I think our generation is now, we're unlearning that you got to hustle all the time, and we are relearning that it is okay to take a step back, to take care of myself in whatever capacity that looks like, and then pick up and move forward.
I love that. And also to kind of bring that in, it looks different at different seasons of life. Yes. And that's the part too that I'm, really and truly adjusting to. And of course, I told people, like, I've been 50 since 86. Okay. I came out the womb just old for no reason. Just for no reason. So I used to even tell people in high school, I was like, I don't really care about what y'all got going on. I used to say it all the time, even way back when. But now since I got older, like I used to say 90% of stuff don't even matter to me. It's like 95. It's one of the strong 95 right now. And I'm okay. Well, I've been okay with it for a while, but I'm in a different step of being okay with it. Mm-hmm. Stepping back from saying yes to every event, and yes, just because she invited me. Girl, no, I've had a whole battle with it, Ashley. I've had a real true battle. Had a real true battle with it.
It's okay. It's a period of unlearning, because you have been operating. You got to remember, you've been operating in that space for so long that it's not going to happen overnight. The change isn't going to happen overnight. You got to give yourself a chance. Like, I'm a person who gives examples, right? So this is one of the things I had to learn when I went on my weight loss journey. So when I started, I was 265. And I was, I want this weight off. I want this weight off. It's got to come off. And it wasn't coming off as fast as I wanted to. And I had to remember, you didn't put it on that fast. It took you a while to put it on. It's going to take you some time to get it off. Mm-hmm. So you got to give yourself some grace. You got to give yourself some time, work at it, because this is new for you. Sure. So you're not going to get it right the first go around. You're going to have some trial and errors. You're going to have to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But you got to keep working at it and give yourself that grace to say, okay, I'm still working at this. It's going to take some time, because it took time to put the weight on.
It took that time. And that's absolutely true. I remember when I had my son, I was at the heaviest I'd ever been in my entire life. It was just a rough pregnancy. I was retaining fluid. It was just all the things. And I remember that was the first major shift of weight that I lost, like after my son. And it was really something in there. Like that was a big piece of discipline, like in my adulthood. And that was the first thing I had to say. I was like, you know what? You're so intentional. You got this baby now. You need the energy. But that was the first thing I said. You better take it at a pace that makes sense.
Yes.
Because you didn't came back from supersizing fries and supersizing drinks, baby. It's real life. I tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know, you've come from doing that. And now you're trying to go and, you know, do low carb and do all the things. And, you know, it was just such a big thing. And you're a new mama. Like, it's a lot of different things. We got the way down and, you know, got fit. And then as got a little comfortable, then here come the weight trying to creep back on again. And, you know, going up and down, going up and down. And then when 2020 came, this was the biggest physical shift that people had ever seen me in, Ashley. I had during the pandemic, I went no sugar for about 9 months.
And that makes a huge difference.
They thought, they were like, oh, what's going on? You know, black folks.
She thought she was sick. That's the first. Why is that the first thing that we do? Please don't ask me if I'm sick.
I almost clicked off of here because they made me mad, Ashley.
I'm not sick. I'm intentionally working on myself. This is intentional.
Like I said, I was kind of going through that end of corporate, having like an identity crisis, trying to do all these things. And to be honest, that was really like some God stuff because that was like truly like fast. I didn't even have the curve and appetite. I wasn't eating nothing but fish, not hardly even no chicken, and greens and nuts. I didn't have no diet soda. I didn't have no flavored water, straight water, fish, and nuts. And they was like, is this girl crazy? Like, they was like, crazy. They say you're crazy. They say you're sick. That's what all people do. They will,
that's what we do. And
you know what?
I'm intentional about my health.
And all that stuff, baby. They talking about me bad because I'm tall. And then when the weight started coming off, it really looked it looked so drastic. And things of that sort.
My tall sister.
See what I'm saying, baby? When I look back at that picture, I was like, you was really, really small the latter part of 20. I ain't never been back that small again. I did gain some weight after that, but we didn't go back up to pregnancy. We didn't go back up to real big back, but but I say that to say that level of discipline, to kind of tie back to the question, like that level of discipline, there was a different level of commitment for me. And that was a different level of declaration of self-love for me.
Yes.
So when I tell you
exactly what it is.
When I tell you that level of clarity,
it's a huge declaration of self-love. Huge.
And I will never forget that period in my life. So if things didn't, like, we didn't been locked in for this so-called storm, I say, well, I ain't just do it crazy. I say it's been a little bit too much snacking. If I need to go into a place and people are like, well, how do you just fall into it? And you like literally just stop everything for, I say love. And I don't mean that from an ugly place. I say, I love myself enough to know that this is his temple. I'm not saying it's going to always be perfect. Right. I'm not saying that, things won't, we require to fall off track, or not require, but, have it fall off track for whatever reason. Because when I was a new caregiver in 2024 with all that stuff, eating got a little crazy because I was coming home at 9 o'clock from the hospital, returning at 7, bathing a baby. So I was just grabbing stuff just to survive. And it wasn't always the best thing.
Not always the best either.
Yeah, it wasn't always the best thing. So, and in that part of my life, I gave myself grace. But then when I got to the end of 24, I said, wait a minute, stranger. You got to tighten back up. You might not be able to go to the gym every single day or walk the track every single day, but you can go walk down this hospital hall in here while he's in here resting. Yep. You can sit up here and raise your feet up now. You can not drink no carbonated drinks. You got something to give. You got to make those choices.
Yep.
Girl, thank you so much for saying that, because that takes me to a period. And normally this time of the year I do the Daniel fast. With church people. I was fasting, but not tied to them. Right. But leading up into this next decade, girl, my 40th is in June. I don't know how it happened.
Welcome to the club.
Oh my God!
I just turned 46.
Ooh,
I love it.
God.
I love it in the 40 club. Oh, I love it.
You love the 40 club,
baby. I love it. This is the best time of my life. Yes, I absolutely love it here.
And you know, I have my days where it's like, girl, you know, you really do feel really grounded. You feeling wise. You feeling still ready to tackle this next part of life really with a lot of clarity. But then it's always the phone like, dang, like 40, like for one, how it comes so fast, I find myself teetering. But I will honestly say that if I think back to when I was walking into my 30th, like, to be here, this rooted, to know who I am through him, I never take that back, girl. I never take that back over some years, because I know that the way that I'm moving, the way that I'm operating, the way that I'm manifesting has all come through those trials and tribulations of this previous decade. And nobody can tell me differently.
Those are the things that have shaped you and made you into who you are now.
Come on now, girl. Now let me ask you this as we kind of come out, because I want you to touch on this, because you talked about building a modern day Black Wall Street. This is something. Oh no, I got to talk about this. I said that's too good. Yeah. That's too good to miss. This could be a whole nother hour-long conversation, girl, because I really, y'all know I love y'all as a people, y'all. We just, you can't really tell me about no Black folks, so don't try it. I just told one of the guests she writes books of like loving our people and children's books and things of that sort. And I know y'all hear this often, and it maybe goes over your head, but y'all, we really are resilient people, and I mean that from the crux of me. And I can't put it into words. And I really wish you knew it. I really wish you believed it, but I really wish you operated in it. Like, you can't tell me nothing about the resiliency of my people. Don't even try that with me. Number one, I know what I've lived through, but the other part of it, the people that raised me, that put their seed in the earth to try to make something better in me, don't tell me nothing about those folks. That's not holding them not accountable for whatever reason, or some things that they, you know, could have owned and done better. We're not talking about that, because we do hold people accountable. But you can't tell me nothing about these people being resilient. Knew 3 great-grandmothers, met, touched. A great-grandfather, met, touched. A host of great aunties. A whole walking history right here. A host of great aunties and aunties that were born in the 40s and 30s. So you don't get, I tell people, you don't get to tell me anything about it. I've lived it. I've experienced, I've touched it. I've sat with them. So I really, really wish y'all knew and operated in how really powerful and resilient you are.
This is why they are trying so much to take our history out, because of how resilient we are.
Come on.
Like, America would not be where it is now if it was not for us and the many inventions that we have come up with. Like, even now, you know, with things the way they are, people are like, oh my God, like how are we gonna survive? We don't always survive. We know how to make it happen.
And I say that all the time, that the people that live before us, it's a slap in their faces to not keep going. They went on with much less.
Yes.
Much less. I understand what's going on right now, and I'm not making light of anything. It's hard out here. But I wouldn't dare look at my great-grandma if she was to come back and say, I got it harder than you. Not in a million years. So I don't have any excuse. I don't have any excuse not to try, not to believe, not to operate in some hope, not to go. Because I know part of what you went through. We know you couldn't tell it all because your generation, y'all didn't have the place for that, or the spirit for that, and the courage for that, because it was under such attack. So the parts that I do know, I know that it was good enough. But you probably couldn't even believe and see that. So I don't have any. They say, well, how you keep going? Because they didn't have the opportunity to stop.
Right. I don't even think about not continuing to move. Like, I'm just don't.
You don't. So when you think about like what a modern day Black Wall Street looks like and feels like, in your perspective, what does that look like for Ashley Session? And, you know, it had to feel good enough for you to say that and include that, because it's something of importance to you.
Yeah, I've been talking with a few of my clients about this, and a few friends about this. Like, I feel like at this point, with where we are, we have got to build our ecosystem. There are enough Black business owners where we can do business within our ecosystem and everybody be able to eat. So, for example, I have a client who's an event planner. And I was talking to somebody in the gym who could potentially use her services. I've already started to build that connection. I have another client of mine who I worked on their website. And then within that, working with her on her website, I was able to talk to her and found out that she has a book publishing company. So when I got ready to publish my journal, I went through her and published my journal through her. So now I've given her business, she's given me business, and now I have other people who I know who are wanting to self-publish books. And so now I have that ecosystem already set up. So now I can take them and direct them to her, and then they can get their book published through her publishing company. So trying to build that ecosystem, because that is the only way that at this point in time we are going to be able to survive. Enough of us have businesses that we are able to share resources with each other or be able to make those connections with each other. If there's somebody who needs, makeup services, I know somebody who does makeup who can come in and do makeup, like if I know somebody who has a podcast and they need a space, like having those networks and having those people in that ecosystem so that everybody can be able to eat. There's enough work out here. There's enough out here for everybody to be able to eat. And everybody needs the services. So even if it gets to a point to where, okay, I'm not in a position where I can pay, is there a way we can barter services? Can I, do some work for you, and then you do this for me, and then now we've bartered services. You got what you need, I got what I need, but we've also built that relationship so that if somebody else needs services of mine or yours, now we've built that network and that connectivity so that we can share those resources amongst each other.
I love that. And the most important part for me that I took away in that segment is that everybody can eat.
Everybody.
We have to stop, this mentality like, oh, I got to block this, or, I got to do this and do that. Because another thing is, because a lot of us in our community, we talk a lot about our faith and our church and all that. But if you serve who I serve, who's an infinite God, it's
we
enough.
We could be doing the same thing, and there's still enough out here for both of us.
And I really want you guys to leave with that, because we are stronger together. We go faster and further together, and there really is enough space in this world to hold us all here in high esteem and in high regard. Yep. I just want to say that, and thank you for sharing, Ashley. Now, I want to make sure that we have a clean segment for all of your connection points. Tell us your socials, your website, wherever you want us to connect with you. I'll curious you for that, and I'll be back to close the show.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to do it this way. We're going to introduce you to the Sessions brand. So I have about 4 businesses under that brand. So Sessions Enterprises is the business consulting and administrative services. So www.sessions-enterprises.com. Social media, Facebook and Instagram under Sessions Enterprises. Sweet Sessions is the cake business, so custom cakes, treats, protein desserts, things of that nature. So Sweet Sessions _treats on Instagram and Sweet Sessions on Facebook. Then there is Sign-In Sessions, the mobile notary service. So if you need mobile notary services in the Atlanta area, you can definitely hit me up for that. You can reach out to Sessions Enterprises to get that service. And then the newest venture is Pampering Sessions. So we have luxurious body care products, so body butter, body scrub, shimmering body oil, which also doubles as a bath oil, bath soaks. And then we also have men's products, so body butter, body scrub for the men, and an entire beard line. Just published the Wellness Journal, which has 3 sections in it: open journaling, guided prompted journaling, and wellness tools, which has a self-care quiz that was curated. So you can figure out what your self-care archetype is, and wellness tools in that as well. And I also offer life coaching services. So I'm all over the place, but those are all the brands under Sessions Enterprises, or under the Sessions brand.
I love that. So you have a wide variety to choose from with Ashley. Thank you for that. I love to see that you are putting your corporate skills, to work, and then also to the other creative ventures that you dive into. Because a lot of the times, even us with corporate skills, when we put that into our businesses, there's still a side of us that wants to create and do things out of the past. So good for you for doing that. It's not you talking to somebody who don't see no all over the place. You see somebody who's showing up in ways in which she can serve. So y'all, oh well, I ain't gonna like we gonna take a whole nother direction. We've been somewhere else because just like you see here, you see me podcasting, you see me speaking, you see me doing all of the things. At the end of the day, I tell people I don't care about whatever the title is, the podcast, all the different things. I'm just only a servant and I'm a forever learner. Keep all the adjectives, keep them all to yourself. If I go out today or tomorrow, I guarantee I woke up in that day doing one of those two things, either serving or doing something that tools this old thing here, whether it's in the Bible, whether it's in a practical book, whether that's just listening to something. So if I can live and embody that, any title, any business, LLC, I can never be boxed in. So thank you for showing up in a way that you may stay all over the place, but Shanadra sees it as someone who is exploring all creative fronts. And I can appreciate that, okay? Now, this is the part in our show where we cue to our guests for final thoughts. We ask them to give us some final parting words for this space and really something that captures the essence of Ashley's sessions and something to give us to go home on. So over to you for final thoughts.
Final thoughts. So I'll repeat some of the things we talked about today. Number one, give yourself grace. Nobody has we're all, this is our first rodeo here, you come this way one time. So give yourself some grace. Understand that you don't have to be perfect all the time. You don't have to be perfect at all. Just show up. Show up for yourself every day. And remember that your story does not have to look like anybody else's. You are still successful. You are still loved. And don't let anybody take that from you.
I love it. And I will definitely lead with that. And remember, she said you only get one time through this space. Even if you have the best appearance, the best of whoever, you still have to walk your journey. And this is your first time doing it. So please give yourself some grace. So everyone that's out there in the HBCU Her Voice podcast land, it was a good one. So go on and stand up over the building and give us both a hand for being here with you guys and really pouring out some really, really big nuggets. And like the folk in church say, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And come on back next time for another amazing episode of the HBCU Her Voice podcast. We love you. And until then, we're out.